This morning, at the start of my talk, I talked about this will be the biggest business opportunity you're ever going to likely see in your lifetime. And I genuinely believe that. I've been in the information security IT industry for over 2 decades. I've seen .com, I've seen all the bits and pieces come and go and what it means. And I look now of the opportunity that's available with the cloud. And unfortunately, that term cloud brings with it a lot of cynicism because it is an overused marketing blurb term that we're all sick and tired of hearing until we get to it. But we've talked about the technical sides of it and how we have to look at architecture and we have to look at data classification. But we also have to look at our business models. Ireland's going through a rough time. And this is actually an opportunity for Ireland to actually look at itself, look at our own business models and think about innovation. Think about inspiration, think about how we can adapt our business models and take advantage of this. You don't need to go to a fortune teller to find out what's going to happen. I'm telling you now, as all the people in the industry like Dell, Google, Amazon, all the money's going into this, this is happening and you're getting the heads up on it. This is an opportunity you can make the most of. The cloud is good. You're going to hear lots of stuff about the cloud being bad. Believe me. You're going to have little to no choice but to embrace it. It's your version of the cloud, how you adapt it to your model. Sit back, think about your business and how you can intelligently look at using the cloud to make your business better. Okay? Because it's not about changing and swapping out to a new operating system. It's not the latest version of Windows or something like that. It is simply a new way of doing business for most people. And the people, you don't have to be a complete giant company to take advantage of this. In fact, you're going to going back to my presentation this morning, you're going to take advantage of plugging into a grid. You can play against the big boys in this side of stuff. If you look at it from my side even, as a consultant, I say, right, how can I use the cloud to change my business model? And I look at it and I say, yeah, okay, I don't have to go on 6 flights a week anymore because I can do lots of consultancy using the cloud. I can use cloud-based technology. I can still fulfill my clients' requirements and I can work differently, more, in a much better way. So everybody has a chance. And I used some small examples there this morning about we won't be IT consultants anymore, we'll be cloud consultants. Embrace it. Whether you're in risk management, whether you're in DDoS protection, whether you're in insurance, whatever you're in, the cloud is something you can factor into a new business model. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, as I say, everybody's behind it. But with all change, change brings opportunity. And we all have an opportunity now to actually look at this. Forget about all the negative bull in the press and everything else like that, and we're all downbeat and we're all downtrodden by European banks and all that good stuff, whatever. Just think about your business from an entrepreneurial perspective. Think of the opportunities you have now with the cloud. We've now got a better understanding of what the cloud is, how we can embrace it, what we can do with it. But let's look at it from a business point of view. So how do we do this? Well, I think it's about attitude, I think it's about innovation, and I think it's about motivation. Okay? We need to raise our game as a country and as an industry in relation to how we're going to embrace the cloud, because we actually have a unique advantage. Ireland is bang in the middle of time zones, bang in the middle geography-wise in the middle of the North American market and the emerging markets. Okay? We have an infrastructure. We have a very IT literate base to deal with people. Look at, I heard a story yesterday about Etihad Airways choosing Ireland as the people that they want to hire because of our neutral nature, if you like. And how we can be trusted and so on like that. I touched upon the US Patriot Act earlier on. We have a really strong story to tell. In relation to security, I could stand up here for an hour and tell you why Ireland is the best country to deal with from cybersecurity opposed to any other country there is in the world, because of our legacy going back to the Ohm stones were cryptic markings that were used as a form of cryptography, back to Boole, who invented binary, was from University College Cork. You know, we have a legacy in this space. We Baltimore Technologies, the first digital agreement sign. There's lots and lots of stories there, but I know we're broader than security here today in relation to that. If we look at these sets of people up here, there's a common denominator between these people. Okay, we've got Steve Jobs with Apple, we've got Martin Luther King, and we've got the Wright brothers. And I'm not talking about the ones that operate down in Airside in the nightclub. I'm talking about the ones that were able to perfect powered manned flight. And you look at these and you go, well, what's the difference between these people? What's the difference between Apple? Like, why do people queue up for 6 hours in the rain and the cold to buy an Apple? It's, you know, is it any different as a device from anything else? I mean, why do people believe in Apple so much, and what's that about? And really, there is a commonality between these people, and it's how they act, think, and communicate at the end of the day. And we need to think about this in relation to how we're going to do business in the cloud, because you need to draw a line and say, That was how we worked before. This is our opportunity now. How are we going to embrace this? How are we going to go ahead and do that? So I've got some thoughts on this, right? And there's a lot of thinking, a lot of learned people out there. One's a very good guy called Sinek who articulates it very well in relation to these circles, okay? And if you look at this, what we do, how we do, and why we do. If I ask you what you do, what your business does, 100% of you will be able to tell me what you do. If I ask you how you do it, I'll get some standard, stuff about your USP, about, your value proposition, how all that's going to operate and so on like that. And that's all great. So you know what you do and you know how you do it. But why do you do it? It's not about money. Money is just a result of what you do. You have to think about why you do it. And this is what's different about the cloud as well, because as people are going into businesses, they're looking at a fresh perspective, they're choosing brands, they're choosing the people that they're aligned with, where they're coming from, everything else like that. And the difference is how you communicate what you're going to do in the cloud. Okay, so you don't just tell people what you do and how you do it. You're going to have to tell them why you do it as well. And this is the difference, and I'll explain a little bit more in depth. Standard computer company would come out and they'd advertise their computers and they would say, we make great computers, they're beautifully designed and simple to use and user-friendly. Standard message from the IT industry about what they're actually designing, laptops, whatever it happens to be, and that's all very good. You can imagine Apple coming out with that message. Well, firstly, they wouldn't, okay? And that's why they're so successful. Even though they're a small part of the market, it's why they're so successful, because they're innovative and they communicate in a different way. So what Apple would do is, they'd actually talk about why they do it. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use and user-friendly. We happen to make computers. Want to buy one? It's completely different. It's like Creative Labs created a lot of the technology around MP3 and so on like that. And they advertised, buy a 5 gig pod for your pocket or whatever. Apple come out and say, do you want to put 5,000 songs in your pocket? It sells completely differently. The difference with this is that we're talking about why, how, and what in the reverse order. Okay? Now you're looking at me a bit puzzled and you go, what's this guy going on about, whatever? Well, the good news is what I'm talking about is actually in the tenets of biology, right? This isn't something that I've made up. And I'll go through that in a bit more detail. So the goal is actually to actually examine yourself, your business model, whatever, and say, well, what do I believe in? How am I selling? What am I different? What does my business exist? What am I about? For me, it's, depending on what area I'm in, it's about, security. It's about why I'm there, working with different foundations and things like that around protecting children online, all that good stuff. So I've got my story straight and listen to why I'm in business and things like that as well. But the goal is actually to find people to buy from you that believe in what you're about. Not just to try and sell to the mass market and how to communicate your message, especially in relation to the cloud. If you see, you'll see after today, and you go off, you think about some of this stuff, you'll say, yeah, is your man right, is he wrong, or whatever. And then watch the advertisements around the iCloud and things like that. And you'll see what I'm talking about is actually translated in how they're actually going to attack the market, embrace the market, and get believers. Because that's what it's about. You want believers and people that are going to believe in your organization, believe in your brand, and join the cloud. But you also want to hire people that believe your message. If you hire someone for pay, well, then they'll work for a day's pay. If you hire people that believe in you, they're going to give you blood, sweat, and tears, and they're going to go that extra mile. So as I say, this is actually in the tenets of biology, right? So quick sidestep on this. If you look at the human brain, I'll just bring this up for a second. Right from the top down is exactly this circle that I talked about, the what, how, and why. Because what we do on the outside with the neocortex part of the brain is we talk about features, we talk about benefits, we talk about rational, analytical, and language. Okay, so we communicate what I do, how I do it, from the neocortex side of the brain. But actually, we make our decisions from the limbic brain, from this part of the brain. That's how our decision-making process is in there. And guess what? It's got no capacity for language whatsoever. Right? It's what you believe in, it's what you feel in. How many times have you read facts and figures on something and said, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. I've got a good instinct or whatever. It's good instinct comes from the limbic brain. And that's how decisions are made and why people get people that believe in their brand like Apple and so on like that. Okay, and they will go on board. It's about trust, loyalty, and decision making. If I was talking to you about a car and I said, look, got this new car, here it is. This is what I have. How do I do it? It's got this mileage, it's got leather seats, whatever. It's not inspiring. You're not going to jump over the moon. But so you have to get into that other part of the brain, that other side of communication to get to it. So I'll go back. I want to talk about loyalty and brand and how we're going to sell and so on like this. And I will come back to the cloud, don't worry, on our opportunity, but I just want to get this across because it's something I use on a daily basis. Has anybody heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? I'm sure nobody really has, because I'll tell you a little bit about Samuel Pierpont Langley. First of all, if you ever talk to somebody about why their business didn't work, they usually say, oh, I didn't have the right people, the market was all wrong, or I didn't have enough cash. Right? And that's why it all went wrong for me. You know, I couldn't embrace the opportunity, or I couldn't go for it, whatever. This is what went wrong with me. They'll always give you a permutation and combination of those three things. Samuel Pierpont Langley was in Harvard. He was part of the Smithsonian Institute. He was given $50,000 by the War Department, and the New York Times followed him everywhere in the early 20th century, because the big thing then was trying to find out about powered-controlled manned flight. That was the .com of the day. Everybody was trying it. Absolutely everybody was doing it, right? The problem was, and the reason we haven't heard of it was because the Wright brothers discovered it, because a few hundred miles away, these guys knew why they were doing it. This guy's motivation was money and fame. The Wright brothers actually wanted to discover powered manned flight. They paid for it with the proceeds of their bicycle shop. None of them had a degree. None of their staff had a degree or anything close to it. So on paper, talking about theory and Gareth Fitzgerald and stuff, on paper, this guy had it all. Right? But he wasn't able to achieve it, and the guys were able to, because they went in with blood, sweat and tears. And on December the 17th, 1903, they discovered how to fly with powered man-controlled flight. And to prove that Samuel Pierpont Langley had his wrong motivations and so on, or he wasn't at the races, he quit that day when he found out. So instead of actually embracing that technology like someone like Steve Jobs would do, and say, you know what, fair play, that's really good technology, we're going to take it, going to build on it, we're going to go with that now and go to the next level, he decided, no, I'm out of this, I've lost the race, that's it, gone. So his motivations were wrong. Why is this important? It's important to find people to sell to that believe in what you believe, because people buy why you do, not what you do. People buy why you do it, not what you do. And if we look at the law of diffusion of innovation, if you're not familiar with the law, most of you are familiar with some of the points of it. And it's about technology mainly and how it actually gets enhanced and so on. And at the start too, we've got the first 2.5% of people are the innovators. Then you've got the early adopters, the majority, late majority, and the laggards. The only reason laggards have mice on their computers is they come with them. I mean, they just don't want technology at all in their lives and so on like that. So this is actually how products come through a life cycle and how people take an uptake. Now, where are we on the cloud? We're probably somewhere around here, right? But once you get to that tipping point and you start getting into the early majority, it all takes off. So you're looking at a blank canvas in relation to your business. If you come up with a business model that works in the cloud, you have a blank canvas. There's no reason why you can't be the biggest one overnight, because you can plug into the electricity grid, and if you want 100,000 users, you can have them the next day. So we've got an opportunity here to take advantage of these proven laws and how they work and everything else like that, and to understand how they go. This is why people queue up in the rain, in the cold, to buy an iPhone or a laptop or whatever it is from Apple, because they believe in Apple. They believe in what Apple believes in, which is being different, disrupting the status quo, disrupting how, for example, music was sold or anything like that, because they believe in being the first, and they believe in what they believe in, and that's how they go. And that's why people buy from people about what, you know, why they're doing it as opposed to what they're doing. We look at Martin Luther King. His speeches were, I believe, I believe, I believe. You know, that's what this guy was about. Now, was he the only guy that had a hard time in pre-civil rights America? No. Was he the only guy that was a great orator of the day? No. He had a belief, and his belief was that the laws of a higher power, until they were aligned with the laws of man, that things were not going to be happy and things wouldn't work. So he went around and he talked to people. But he talked to people and believed in what he believed in. And those people talked to believe in what they believed in and so on. And this caught on. And he got 250,000 people turning up at the same time. No Facebook, no Twitter, no website, no mobile phones. 250,000 people to turn up because of what his beliefs were. Now, how many of them turned up for him? Zero. They turned up for themselves because they believed in his message and what was going on. And incidentally, his speech was, I have a dream, not I have a plan. Right, you know, I kind of get inspired when people come up with 12-point plans and things like that. It's what you actually, you know, are going to be a bit motivated about. We're going to get some energy into something. And I'd like you to walk away a little bit motivated today that this is an opportunity for us all, the cloud. It's not something to be scared of. And, you know, I always have the fear factor that I'm going to scare people too much off when I'm talking about the complexities of security and governance, risk, compliance and the issues around that side. But this is more than that. This is a golden opportunity. So what do I believe? Well, I believe actually Ireland has a skills crisis, not a jobs crisis. I believe there's tons of jobs out there. I'm lucky enough, fortunate enough to deal with a lot of international leaders in this space and companies. I'll be dealing at VP level and so on like that. And I understand what they look at Ireland from an investment point of view. If you give you an example, one of the best companies that have come across the space is somebody like Dell. Now, Dell recently sent over on, you know, expensive jet, one of these top VPs in to interview some people for a position in the cloud. He arrived over in their office in Cherrywood, he talked to them, had a chat, whatever. And of the 3 people he interviewed, he wanted to hire them all. And in fact, as he left, he turned around and said, you know what, this is where we're doing it from, Ireland. And they have created a showcase for Dell cloud activities and so on like that in Ireland. Why is all the intellectual property still developed in Ireland for companies like Dell, Intel, HP and so on like that? Because the brains are here, because the people are here, and obviously we've got good tax breaks around intellectual property and so on like that. But we have all the good reasons of why people should be here. So we've got opportunities in that. Our future's in pots and pans. The cloud is a gold rush. Okay? Everybody, don't sit around in a year's time. Do you remember your mom was saying that? Blah, blah, blah. First mover advantage. Get on top of this. Find out how your business model can be adopted. Find out how you can embrace the technology. Get the opportunity. Take it on. The pots and pans business, as I say, that's anything from cloud transition. We're not going to become a Google tomorrow. We're not going to, because we were talking earlier on about the size of Eircom as a business, yet they're minuscule when it comes to these big providers in the cloud or whatever. However, it's the people that made the money in the gold rush are the people that made the pots and pans. Consultants, risk, insurance, DDoS protection, whatever it happens to be, consultancy, CP governance, training material, whatever it be, we can just use our brains, think outside the box, say, yeah, let's be clever about this, you know? And that's why I think things like, you know, the US Patriot Act are opportunities rather than something that we should just brush over. So why? Because I think we have the opportunity to actually innovate now, inspire each other, and work on that basis. There's an old Irish proverb which we use in the ICTTF, which is there's no strength without unity. Your competitors are now the people you actually need to collaborate with. Business rules, normal business rules, throw them in the bin. It doesn't matter, right? This is warfare. We have to go after the business because every other country on this planet is also having problems. And we don't need to sit and whinge about it and blah, blah, blah. We have to up our game. We have to go ahead with this. And actually, we're thought of so highly on an international stage in relation to what we could do around IT and everything else that we actually need to do something about this. So if you look even at a very simple level, this time last year, with the support of Eircom, put on an event around cybercrime. As I said, about 80, 100 people, whatever, turned up in the snow. That now looks at 2,000 people around the world from over 100 countries and 3 million hits of people that are interested in this subject matter, right? Because it took a thought and turned it into something. You know, we're all here today, a year later, doing the same sort of thing. So this time last year, I said a few words to really sum up a sort of situation. I'd like to repeat those words now because I know there's a different audience here, but I think these words are still very poignant of where the challenges we face as a country, as businesses and so on. So in Dublin on June 28, 1963, John F. Kennedy addressed the Dáil, and this is a paraphrase of what he said. No nation, large or small, can be indifferent to the fate of others, near or far. Modern economics, weaponry and communications have made us all realize more than ever that we are one human family and this one planet is our home. Some may say that all this means little to Ireland, in an age when history moves with the tramp of earthquake feet, in an age when a handful of men and nations have the power literally to devastate mankind, in an age when the needs of the developing nations are so staggering that even the richest lands often groan with the burden of assistance. In such an age, it may be asked, how can a nation as small as Ireland play much of a role on the world stage? This is an extraordinary country. George Bernard Shaw, speaking as an Irishman, summed up an approach to life. Other people, he said, see things and say, why? But I dream things that never were and say, why not? It is the quality of the Irish, that remarkable combination of hope, confidence and imagination that is needed more than ever today. The problems of the world cannot possibly be solved by skeptics or cynics whose horizons are limited by the obvious realities. We need men who can dream of things that never were and ask why not. So that's my final thoughts for today. Hopefully that you leave a little bit inspired and can see the opportunities in the cloud and see that this is an actual opportunity for Ireland to embrace this technology, this opportunity. It's not a maybe, it's a definite. And I think we all need to just go off and reflect on our own business models, and everybody's success pushes everybody else's business along. And in that little way, that catalyst hopefully will create jobs, sustain jobs, and help the economy in some way. So thank you all very much for your time today. Thank you.